Those are my passions. But therapy, I was introduced to therapeutic horseback riding. My dad's ex-wife, not my mother, but an ex-wife of his, was doing it back in Indiana at a place called Love Way. Either I saw it first there or once out on the road with Ramblin' Jack. There was a big operation in Santa Clarita, California. Anyhow, so it was in my mind and I'd seen it, just observed it, wasn't involved with it. But I've been involved with horses on and off my whole life. I was born in Wichita, Kansas, an old cow town. But when I think I talked about it a little bit on the last show, but I was in LA for almost 20 years, working in the film business and the music business, and kind of hit rock bottom, just like not in any bad health way or anything like that, just emotional and career-wise and all that, and just really needed to shift gears. So I thought of in the big metropolis, there's a lot of horse people around there, but there's certain areas, it's not a lot of wide open space like around here. But I looked it up, and there's a place in LA County on the Palos Verdes Peninsula called Ride to Fly. And a real small organization, only about 4-horse operation there. And I got involved with that, and a lot of English riders up there. Always been Western. A lot of English riders up there on the rich little peninsula, and hunter jumpers and dressage people. So that was a different disciplines for me to learn from their perspective of horsemanship. But now down to the therapeutic riding, what it is primarily it's kids, but like out here there's it's coming up with Horses with Heart. We're working with veterans on Mondays, I believe, and then 3 days of the week are lessons with children with therapeutic in the sense, and it could be anything. They could have Down syndrome, or they could it goes on and on, different kinds of illnesses they have, blind, deaf. It could be physical, it could be any emotional, mental, any kind of child is eligible for it. We've had paraplegics, you name it, any kind of ailment, they'll deal with it. And then there's the veterans, and then also they have a Silver Saddle Club for older adults. And then on the weekends, on Saturdays, they have Special Olympics. Now, a lot of people know that. This is just the horseman, the equestrian side of the Special Olympics.
May I ask you before you go on, where is this held?
Yeah, I was getting to that. I realized I didn't talk.
All right, go ahead.
I didn't get to here. Horses with Heart. Once I moved here about a little more than 3 years ago now, and I got involved with Horses with Heart out in Chino Valley. They started out in Dewey some years ago. I forget the woman's name who started it, but Trudy Chapman, who's now a real good friend of mine, ran it for years, and she's still, I believe, perhaps I might get the titles wrong, but she's the riding director. Pam Berry, I think now is the, I don't know if president's the right term, but she's in charge of the whole thing now. And it's a bigger organization. We got at least a dozen horses out there, a lot bigger than the organization I worked with in LA. But in my capacity, it's all volunteers out here. I wish it was a career. You know, there's a thing called PATH. I forget what the acronym stands for. Something about therapeutic riding, PATH, and that's the organization it's with. It's a national, if not international, therapeutic riding where the instructors get certified through that. Now, I'm not a certified instructor, but I do work with the lessons, and I'm an exercise rider with the horses and a wrangler and help with the kids. And it was a way for me, going back to California when I got in there. Once I was there, I understood it and learned how it works, so I was real happy to get involved with Horses with Heart here locally. And I encourage everybody else. We're on the break right. Today's May 14th, 2013, but I believe next week we start another session. I forget, they're 6 or 8 weeks long, and so there's several different days. They're on the website, they're on everything. Look them up, because we could always use more volunteers out there. But to make it a little more personal, like I said, they could be little kids. I think the age is 4 years old is the minimum. I may be wrong on these, but to teenagers and young adults. And just as an example, the first child my first favorite student, this was out in California, little Asian girl named Sophia. 4 years. She had her condition. I'm not a medical guy, so I don't know all the names of the ailments, but she had a physical condition where she was like jello, really had to be helped with walking, and she walked like this. We just had no core strength, muscular strength was just, and she had a speech impediment. She could make noise but didn't really verbalize. And boy, the first time, and it depends. When you have a child that needs help, how it works is there's an instructor in the arena, then somebody leading the horse, then two sidewalkers on either side of the horse, one being a coach. And some riders get very independent or even start off independent, but some of them actually need a lot of support. We even have specialty saddles that we can buckle them in and everything. But the goal is to get them as independent as possible. So you might have a person on either side holding onto their thighs, keeping on the horse, supporting their back, etc. And this girl, Sophia, needed all the support she could get because she could barely sit up straight. And she was scared to death. She was screaming bloody murder, did not want to get on the horse. And with kids like that, or kids in wheelchairs, there's a ramp and a thing we can stand on to get easily climb down onto the horse instead of climb up. Anyway, just this girl, and I got to know her mother, and within, she needed all the support she could get. She didn't know what was going on up there, and to get the horses to go in these programs, they're trying to say walk on, and you have the reins, and you just tap the withers, the shoulders of the horse right in front of the saddle. And she would never say that, but it's the miracle. There's a whole bunch of miracle stories, but only 3 or 4 lessons in. And out there, they were only 30-minute lessons. All of a sudden, and this is after they've been in physical therapy in sterile environments in hospitals or health centers or whatnot, in the sterile environments of a classroom. And they, can only do what they can do there. But just a few minutes on a horse does magical things that, you can't teach in the classroom or on a table in a doctor's office. And you could just see it within a few lessons. You needed to hold on to her less and less just because the natural movement of the horse, the child or whoever the rider is, kind of learns how to find their balance, and their core strength just naturally becomes stronger. And one day we were out on the trail, which is really just walking out of the arena around the property, and I think a grandfather was there, or a lesson, or a different relative. And we were all, well, maybe we can get Sophia to talk today. And he's not in any negative way, but he says, yeah, maybe in a million years or whatever. Anyway, so we're walking down the road, and just out of nowhere, like I said, already just to see her physically become stronger and sit up straighter was amazing, because there's no way to qualify it technically. It happened. Like people swimming with have therapeutic value, swimming with dolphins, or just the things that, a little kid on a 1,000-pound horse, it does amazing things. And anyhow, so there she's going along, and all of a sudden she has a speech impediment, as I said, but you could tell very loudly she tried to say walk on to that horse. And you just, the granddad, or was it uncle, whatever, he's tearing up, I'm tearing up, even the horse knows what's going on. And there's these moments like that. They don't happen every single lesson, but they do happen all the time. And then, I visited her. I saw her last year. I hadn't seen her in almost 3 years. And so she's an independent rider now, she's adjusting her stirrups, and she's doing this, and just amazing to see what not 3 years ago was what would have taken as a helpless child, and here she is riding a horse. And some kids don't have that much ability to be independent riders, and that might be the most fun they're going to have physically. But you just see it, man. And when you have the value for me, everybody, thank you for your time, this, that. I'm like, there's just as much therapy for me, if not more, than the child or the horse. And it's you never, if you go to the barn on a bad day, having a bad day, you always leave in a good mood, because It puts things into perspective. It's like all your trivial problems of your life for a day, and then you see some people that really have challenges in life that you'll never know anything about. And that's just there's a lot of good volunteers out of there, and it just brings everybody up. It's good for the kids. It's good for their socially and physically and everything. So.
Well, that's very interesting, and I'm sure we'll come back. I'll ask you again for another example of someone that you worked with and things that happened. But this is what I thought from just my own kind of experience with some things, that this would